Hey everybody, it's your girl Kenlo back at it again. I am here with community activist and leader Aunt Brown.
How you doing? What's up, Kenlo?
I'm great. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to finally be on your show.
I'm happy that you're here.
I am too.
So let's get right into it. Tell us, how did you get into wanting to be there for the community, and how was your upbringing in living in Philadelphia?
Good question. I feel like I talk about this a little bit often, so I'm gonna try to let it flow. So I'm originally from South Philadelphia, 31st Itasca to be exact. I grew up there. Then I moved when I was around the age of 12, and I lost my brother to gun violence. And during that time, it was kind of tough because I had a mom on drugs as well and everything. And it's a lot of external forces that kind of try to mold your character and want to do stuff negative or whatever. So those were a lot of things that I was seeing, but I always knew that I wanted to do something different. So I started boxing at 15. That was like my first time I seen the power of mentorship. I had some good mentors who was my coaches, and they basically showed me what like discipline was. Working hard. It's the same thing that I like translate to my life and the career that I have now. But so doing that, boxing is really what opened my mind up to the power of mentorship with young people. So when I became a young adult at the age like 21, 22, I started like saying, I want to get into the community work. Of course, I was an artist. I was like a rapper at one point. Well, I ain't gonna say at one point. I still am an artist. But I was more so following that. So I was like, I want to find a different way to be able to, get on different platforms. So I started using community work as one of the angles to help me promote my music because the stuff that I was talking about aligned with, addressing things that was actually going on in my community. So doing that work in the community, it made me understand, like, when you build with people that's on the same level as you, it's easier to get a bigger idea across, stuff like that. So once I figure out the power of that got me into starting like my own organization and, working with creatives and artists and stuff like that.
Well, I heard you mention your brother and losing him to gun violence. Tell us more about who he was and how did he impact you growing up?
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny. I was just talking about this recently to somebody. With my brother was in the streets, and this was a time the neighborhoods about like within a 5 block radius was beefing with each other, and he just got caught up into it. He got caught slipping. I remember how I felt when I first heard about it happening. Though I didn't really process it in a way where I'm like, oh, like it didn't feel real at first until like the day of the funeral. But from there, it really did, like, something did click, whereas, like, I started being, even though I was only 12, and then starting going to 13, 14, I started to be real conscious about where I was spending my time at. Like, some of the things that my peers at 14, 15 was, like, indulging in, and I'm not perfect, Like, I'd have been through things, but some of the stuff that they was involved in or, like, would start to be fascinated with them. Yeah, so I was just like, yeah, that's not what I'm on. Like, I want to do something better. But that had a significant impact because, my mom was clean at the time. It's funny. Like, she wasn't on drugs at the time. And then after his death, it made her relapse. So I always felt like I had this weird pressure on me. I was the youngest at 8. And the reason I felt like I had this pressure from that experience, too, is because my oldest brother, he was locked up doing the 10 to 20 years. Then I had another brother that was in and out of jail. So it was just like my family, in their own way, started to, like, cousins, aunts, started to look at I might end up being the next person to follow that foot. So I always used to just, like, try to overachieve in things just to show, like, yo, no, I'm a good kid. I'm going to, I want to be a good person. I don't want my environment to be able to affect the way that, I become a young man.
So how do you use your story to impact the kids that you help today?
My story allows me to be relatable to the young people that I work with today. So everything wasn't always smooth. I did get locked up for an armed robbery I didn't commit at the age of 15. And I tell you a little bit about that story. And anytime I talk to young people, I always tell them this story. So this is how it actually connects. I'm young. When I was younger, I'm in the 9th grade. Me and my homie, we going to see these two girls at the time, being young and dumb.
Those are them.
Yeah, and it's crazy that we had school the next morning. You feel me? This is
Mm.
actually like a school night. We had to get on the R bus to go up to the Frankfurt Transportation Center, and she lived like, well, the girls they didn't live too far from there. We had to catch one more bus, but oh, we can walk. We just on some young hype stuff. So we get to the Frankfurt Transportation Center. We walk like 10 steps from there, and then these cops pulled up on us, and then uh, they don't put us in cuffs or nothing. They just take out everything that's in our pockets and all that, and they put us in the back of the car. And they just like we just in there like, yo, what's up? What's going on? And he's just like, it's an armed robbery in the neighborhood. If you ain't had nothing to do, nothing, you good. So we just like, yo, we just got off the bus, and at this time, this is where you had transfers. You put $2 into the bus, add the extra dollar, you get your transfer to get on another bus. So and during that time, they had like the date and times where you get your transfer. So if you think about like how evidence is like, these kids didn't obviously didn't do this, and this robbery had happened like an hour before we even, they even pulled up on us. So they brung another car with the old white man that supposed to be had been robbed by two young black males with black hoodies. I had on a cream color hoodie, and my homie had on a gray hoodie. So that's another way it was just like really racial profiling. They brung them around, and then they bring them outside of the car. They flashed the light on us, put us in front of the car. So then the guys looking at us, and from to this day, I always say like, what I can remember, that guy was like, I don't know, but the cop was like, yeah, that's dumb. So then we end up going down to the district, and this is my first time, my first encounter with the system. You feel me? So I'm not sure how this gonna go. Now my homie, he had a situation when he was 14, but it was like some misdemeanor shoplifting stuff.
Okay.
So he was just like, he telling me, yo, we just gonna have to do some community service probably or something, like little simple stuff like that. Our mom gonna be able to come get us tomorrow. And I knew that this was a little bit more serious once we got to the district, and then the judge they told us our charges like a little box, like a little speaker box. You know what I'm saying? So she gave us our charges, and it was like terroristic threats by a minor, all of these list of charges that it's words so long at the time, like I don't even understand none of this. You feel me? And then during that time they called my grandma and was like, yo, he in here for armed robbery. You feel me? So the next day come, it's like 24 hours now, and I'm thinking somebody, my parents or something, about to come grab me. So then the paddy wagon pulled up, and when they take us out of the holding cell, and then they put cuffs on us again. Then we get in the car, and I don't even know where we going. You feel me? I just remember when we pulled up, when we went through the gate and everything, and then realized we was up on State Road. I was up at Pick. That's actually an adult prison, but it has, at the time, I'm not sure if it's still an adult prison now, but at the time it was an adult prison, but they had 2 blocks specially for juveniles who had like major felonies, like homicides, anything, armed robberies, you feel me, attempted murders, stuff like that. So what's so crazy about that story is I end up staying in there for like a month and a half, almost 2 months, until I got, by the time my court date came, I had a good public defender, and I had like letters of recommendation from my boxing coaches and all of that. And it was like, yo, this kid obviously couldn't have did anything.
Right.
This obviously couldn't be him. Especially the evidence, they didn't find no gun. So how you give a juvenile a gun charge and y'all ain't even find a gun? So um, the judge ended up allowing me to fight the case from home. That's how me and my homie, we was able to go home and fight the case. So that's why I only spent a month and a half there. But I remember the first 3 days when I got there, it's like they put you in something called quarantine, and that's when you just like in a cell by yourself.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
So during the first 3 days, like I didn't even get fed. The guy was just walking past.
Serious?
Yeah, like, and when I think about it,
Yeah.
and what I know now, like, and the type of resources I have now,
Yeah.
yo, I probably would, I would be rich out here. You feel me? Like, I would have had the craziest lawsuit if I knew what I knew now. But the reason me and my mom, well, the reason my mom didn't pursue with trying to go to the legal and sue or anybody is because she just wanted me out of the system. We was able to get the record expunged. She's like, I don't even want nothing to do with it. Like, it was just like exhausting emotionally on her, stuff like that. But Tell that story to young people all the time, where it's like, um, it's easy to get caught up in the system and it's hard to get out. Like, just from me being in the wrong place at the wrong time, got me spending a month and a half up on a state road at this. You feel me? And that could have been a traumatic experience. So, yeah, I think that make my story relatable, especially when they see some of the stuff I do, like in community organizing, philanthropy, or you feel me, even working in the political field or something like that. Like, yo, I come from like the same social determinants of health y'all have.
Right.
Y'all environment, you feel me? Mom on drugs, you feel me? Food insecurities. Like, I come from the same environments. We really are, like, our lived experience actually makes us experts, and these are the angle that I always use to talk to these young people. So I think that's how, like, you know, my lived experience, I use that to like work with the youth.
That's a blessing. Now, how does that story make you feel today? Like, you told it so vividly. I know that stories like that and experience like that can have an impact on you. So, how do you feel about it today?
um I think everything happened for a reason. You feel what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. I look at it as a blessing in disguise, because I mean, it keeps me humble, and it also give me drive too. Just like, yo, I really came through a lot. I made it through the right things. You feel me? Like, it was tests and it was battles put in front of me, and I fought. You feel me? And everything not figured out. I'm still learning, and learning myself more and more each day. But I think that experience really showed me, like, yo, like, this was a test from the creator. Like, I gotta put you through something difficult so you can see, like, the light at the end of the tunnel. Because in somewhere way, like, that made me really ambitious. Like, even when I came home, the trauma I did have from it was like, anytime I'm at bus stops or something, and if cops ride past, I just feel like they probably go. It was just like,
Right.
you feel really
Feel
uneasy.
nervous. Yeah.
Always feeling like that I'm about to just get picked up for something that I didn't do. And it did take me a while, like, a few years to finally be okay, like, from that.
That's what's up.
And I think it's funny though, when I started doing, like, community organizing well, more so volunteering. The first stage was volunteering, and when there's events where it's police officers and stuff like that, I used to just be nervous for no reason. Like, it could be just regular community relations cops or something like that who, but I'm just like, yo, they about to come grab me. You know what I'm saying? But everything got better now. But yeah.
That's a blessing that you overcame it and that you can help others, especially using that story. And you said that you were volunteering. So, what kind of events did you volunteer at?
So, like food drives, clothing drives, um, yeah, like your average everyday community events that they have all the time in the summer times and stuff, where they might have a stage out there that has some performances, has some resource tables. So, and I also use that, the power of networking. Like, I use that as
I was
like an
gonna ask you that. That's
exercise.
how like helped you get into your own community curating.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I used to do this thing where before I knew I had to do an event, I used to write a little script, look in the mirror, rehearse it, like how I'm gonna go up to random people, make everything general, and then approach them by name, and then just like, yo, look, I'm gonna approach 20 people. If I get at least 10 people that's like that give me good feedback, I'm good. All right, that mean, if I get good feedback from my pitch, I'm cool. And then I used to just use the amount of people I was talking to every time I did an event as a way that I was measuring, my success on how I was networking with people, getting cards, follow-ups, and stuff like that. Used to just take random online courses and stuff, like, in communications or something like that. And I used to just, that's the little secret. That I used to take little quick courses online. He probably be like, people, $47, get my course. I'm gonna teach you how to all of that. I used to do that. Then I used to, implement that when I went out to the community to volunteer. And then it just started molding my personality. Now it's like it gets easier to, like, walk up to talk to people, or walk up to talk to people who got power, influence, and still feel comfortable and stuff like that. And yeah.
What were you learning from these courses? Like, what did it teach you as you kept growing within curating?
Um, okay, so I took a digital marketing course before, and that taught me, I guess, like, the psychology of being consistent when you're showing up. Like, when people see you or hear about your name consistently, and how it starts sticking into their head and stuff like that, or if they see your brand multiple times, and then they start to be familiar with it, and then they gravitate to it, stuff like that. And I took communication courses, and it's just like how to establish conversations with people, based off questions, just being curious, taking them, bringing them into your world, and also entering theirs, and how to communicate that through content, and also like through field marketing and stuff like that. All the stuff that I was learning in communications really helped me with like community organizing.
Okay. Well, I see you got your brand. Tell
Hey,
me,
bro.
hey, bro. Tell me more about your brand. Tell us about how you
Okay.
created it. What does it mean? And the story
Okay.
behind
Hey,
it.
bro. Stands for Always Be Real Original. It's a creative arts initiative. Our mission is to service the youth through the arts and education. So that's anything entertainment and education. How do we make that blend? Is that school tours? Is that a curriculum where we breaking down lyrics? And is the lyrics telling us about gun violence and stuff like that? And also it's a combination of my name, Ant Brown. It's like the first letter of my name, and then BRO, put it together. And then another part of how I came up with the name, or why I decided to stick with just A Bro, when I had a camp, a lot of the young kids always just, hey bro, just refer to each other. I hear the little girls call each other, hey bro, you tripping, like. So I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to impact young people.
Right.
Why not use a saying that's easy for them to remember and that they already using?
So tell us about the lyrics. Well, a lyric that you had and broke down to one of the kids.
So we use like the arts and education to, enlighten the community, enlighten young people about, their environment. So one of the poems that I'm gonna spit at the end of this John is called "The Book One," and I basically talk about 4 different versions of, a young male.
Okay.
You could either be the leader, you could be the teacher, you could be the crash out, or you could be the higher self.
I like that.
And I get more into the lyrics, once I wrap them at the end. But yeah, that touch on bullying, conflict resolution. I reference gun violence in there, and then some of the bars are just really self-explanatory. Being a leader, overcoming growing up with if growing up with your lights getting shut off and stuff like that, and still having to have a purpose. You feel me? Like, how do you push through? Understanding your purpose when you in like these negative times,
Right.
like, and then being in your higher self is having that discernment, knowing that it's a lot of evil forces out there to try to throw you off your path. But how do you stay on the straight and narrow? So yeah, I break down stuff like that from like a conversational perspective in a song called "The Book One," and that's actually what I go around. I teach at colleges and stuff like that too, breaking down what I mean behind the lyrics and why I created the lyrics. So yeah, so I appreciate that, and I eventually I want this to be my North Star for that project is like, if it can be an established curriculum in the school district, like, it's like some of the lyrics that I form with other artists that break down these different issues that young people go through.
I like that. I can't wait to listen to the poem. It's gonna be decent.
Appreciate it.
So we're gonna play a game called This or That, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so boom. All right. This or that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
A nonprofit that looks good but does nothing, or messy grassroots work that helps people but stays disorganized forever.
Wow, that's a good question. Repeat that, cause I would say, repeat that.
A nonprofit that looks good but does nothing, or messy grassroots work that helps people but stays disorganized forever.
Wow, it's like y'all really breaking down Philadelphia organizations. Like, it's crazy. Not all of them, but like it be a lot of BS going on in like the nonprofit world in Philly. Just to be transparent, um, I feel like I would rather like the messy nonprofits, but still get the help, like, the community forever, even though they gonna always be disorganized, because at the end of the day they still showing up for somebody
Right.
every time. They either go get another sign up, they go put another event together, go to the community or whatever, connecting somebody to resources. Because somebody who pretend like they doing stuff and not really doing anything, they
That's
just
no
pimping.
good. Yeah, that's
They
no
just,
good.
you feel what I'm saying? You just pimping the community.
Just a
And
couple words to get you going.
you feel me? Like, and when you think about it, it's not fruitful. You feel me? I feel like when you carry it like that, eventually whatever you building is gonna crash. It's just like, I think that's just like a divine thing. Like, you feel me? Like you're you are what you attract. You feel me?
Thanks.
And especially in a sense of helping people. If you're gonna help people, have the heart to. And I ain't saying that everybody got to be a saint to help people or to start a nonprofit or organization, but just be intentional about the work that you put in.
Intentional.
You know,
Be intentional about everything that you do. That's my favorite word.
that's it.
See? All right, I'll make you another one. Take money from a racist billionaire to fund your program, or stay underfunded and watch people suffer. Personally, I'm taking it from the billionaire. That's just me, though. But, go ahead.
That's a real good question, and I had to address that. It's funny, I think about that concept a lot because even being in the philanthropy, like, and even having to go in rooms when you shaking hands and brushing shoulders with people you trying to get funded for your program to affect your community. I think, yes, take it from a racist white billionaire because it's this. Now, it depends. What's in the MOU? You feel what I'm saying? It depends, like, what's the understanding? Do I take this money and now you just 100% push your agenda in my neighborhood? Nah, I'm good.
True.
Do I control the narrative and I control who gets benefits from these resources in my neighborhood, how the program run, you know, what demographic that it has to affect when you bringing in these millions of dollars to open up this new resource center in my neighborhood is directly helping young people from my zip code? Yeah, I'm taking that. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But if it's like, okay, I'm giving you, or I'm this brand or whatever, I just started this nonprofit, but it's backed by a billionaire, so they got the funding to salary you what you want and also allow you to operate a budget to
Basically in
do some
control.
cool stuff, right? But, like, everything about what they trying to establish is to probably help gentrification. You feel me? Knowing that your neighborhood about to push out a bunch of people that look like you, so they getting into the investment early. They coming in with the nonprofit first, but now they established that, got the community trust. Now they buying, you know, houses and locations in the neighborhood, and then 10, 20 years, that community not gonna look like the community that you come from, and you know. So I think it's about having that discernment. It could be either or. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a little bit of both. When you are a leader, it has to be a little bit of both, because at the end of the day, it's almost like when people say F the government. That's true, but we, you know, at the end of the day, we still gotta pay taxes. They still charge us for water and electric. You mean? And so it's like, I think you have to just have that discernment, that wisdom on how, who to work with, and what you should take, what you shouldn't take, what you shouldn't take. I'm back.
See, that make me think a lot, though, because, okay, I could deal with a racist. We deal with racism a lot.
It depends.
I could deal with a racist.
I ain't there yet where I could just take a white person saying whatever to my, you know, like,
Yeah, now,
not being directly or something.
yeah, that's
like,
the thing. I could
like,
deal with a racist if you're not saying, you know, the N-word and all that type of stuff to my face. You know, derogatory language in my face. Now, it hurts deeper when it's your kinfolk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hurt deeper when it's your kinfolk because it's getting a little deep. But like you said, it like F the government, right? And it's like that kind of question made me think about, you know, our president.
Yeah.
Like he taking like our history out, you know, the museums and stuff like that. But it's like we gotta rely on us, like you know what I'm saying, like our own people. But who can we rely on if they depending on them? When I think about things like that, you like,
yeah, and I think it's just like, and it's good. Like this was it. I got a part of this Black philanthropy circle. I had a meeting with some folks called the Giving Circle, where they help establish the Giving Circle. It's now ran by different folks. Still same initiative of Black owned. I forgot the young lady name now. And these are a group of philanthropists in different industries and stuff like that. And they talk about these things like of like, how do we create systems so we don't ever have to rely about too much control from the government. You feel me? Like, what I mean by that is, like, say if we all come together and establish an organization in Southwest, South Philly. Let's say Southwest, right? And when we establish this org, how do we put our money and our research together? Us in the room, we know about grant writing. Some people know about economics or whatever. But how do we create workforce development, or how do we invest the money that we get from these grants? I won't say invest because you're not really supposed to align that with grant money. But how do we take that grant money and create some type of engine or system that makes money keep flowing in the community, that offer jobs to the community, like in a way that it's not like, okay, I'm just on government assistance. I have to rely on you to give me a check every month, or I have to rely on you to give me, you feel me, my insurance or whatever. Like how do we create systems where the people in our community still thrive and not really be so like poor after relying on help? You feel what I'm saying? Like I feel like we should be able to rely on the government. Like we should be able to rely on higher ups, but not 100%. It's still up to us to do for self. And I understand not majority of us have that mindset or how to do so, but I think for the unique collective who is all on that same page that come from our community, figure that out, figure those systems out that actually help the masses. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like we still do gotta rely on the government to a certain extent, but it's the systems, you know? If I put more jobs in your neighborhood, black-owned jobs that's ran by black people, and they get the black people who look like us, who understand us, that get to say this is who I'm hiring, who I'm not. Like, I mean, like, you feel me? Like, cause you still gotta play ball of some sort. You still gotta know how to shake, you know, cause it's about knowing what you want out of the relationships that you building with people. You feel me? And you don't have to like everybody you go into business with or getting the research from.
That's true too.
If it helps you, you might have somebody that say, you know what, I want to donate. I see the vision in, the Kenlo Show or whatever, and they want to just give you 20 grand straight up front there just to have their logo there all the time.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? And they might not have a track record of investing in the black community. You feel me? So it's like, but here you are, the bigger you scale, the more you get to bring other creatives on your platform. They scale themselves, etc.
Everybody helps everybody.
Everybody helps. It's an ecosystem. You feel me? So when you build in an ecosystem, sometimes you gotta like learn from those who you don't usually like. You usually would stay away from. You feel me in a sense.
Now, speaking of systems, tell us about how you curate your events. Tell us actually what's the best event that you've had that you've curated.
I really, believe it or not, I'm not even gonna go to the outside events or festivals that I helped on. I would say the school tours. I love the school tours. I love the school events. I think that's really my best body of work because it showed me how people show up. You feel me? It also allowed me to. That's where I learned a lot of trial and error because I was doing the school tours first when I was working with Stay Humble, Stay Hungry, the clothing brand. This is like around the time the Philly Goats first started popping off, that old TikTok wave. We was managing them. Me and my partner Duke at the time, we did like a big school tour. We toured probably like 40 schools that school year. And it was a lot of trial and error. Of course, like since I was running the show for the most part, I was seeing what worked, what didn't work. So then by the time like the next school year, I just got more creative. Things was just clicking better. I found out ways to make the experience better. Like instead of like, all right, we come in just to entertain the kids real quick, is we bringing guest speakers and my following up with like a classroom workshop. You feel me? Is we leaving them with resources. So these are, this is how I got like that experience of like, handling multi-layer projects. And now, like that's really what I like the most is doing the school tours, because it allowed me to give other people exposure too. Like some people like to speak to the kids who probably never did or never figure out how, and if they come on my tour, they was able to do so. And I seen how other people was networking because I was bringing people from different backgrounds or professions, and they seeing them networking, whether it's backstage before we coming out on the stage and stuff like that. And then, so I think the school tours is really is what I like to organize. Like I think those are my best events.
So, would you say you ever had an event that flopped or didn't do as good? And how did it make you feel? Like, what was that experience?
What?
Like?
Yo, oh my gosh, it's the process. It's just like anything. You gotta be trash at something first before you put your 10,000 hours in, and then you get good at it. I had an event called it was like the community appreciation event, something like that. This is after I had my summer camp, and I threw the event. Just like people were supporting us. So I'm just like, all right, man, we threw this event, and I got the food, all that. I had a panel set up, and literally like 2 people showed up. You feel me? But besides those who was like supposed to participate in the event, like the panelists, etc. But we made the best out of it, though. Like I looked at it. Like one thing about me, when things don't go the way I want them to go, it's not the end of the world. Cause like, I also probably had an event that I had to go perform at that next weekend. So I'm just like, this will pass. You feel me?
Right.
Like now, I didn't like the fact that I lost money on booking the venue. You feel me? And paying for the food. However, it was good trial and error. It actually helped me and some of the folks that was involved in the event get closer, because they just like, it's cool, and man, you work your behind off, you show up for everybody, it's all right. You know what I'm saying? So I had people like speaking life into me about the situation, so it wasn't really that bad. But yeah. I think for real, a school event that went bad, I think that was really worse. And it wasn't really bad, but it was like during the time we was working with the Philly Goats, and when they come out, the kids start especially at that time, they start going crazy, like they running up to the stage, and that's a safety issue in the school.
True.
So I remember one time it was like and big shout out. I ain't even gonna say the school, cause big shout out to the principal, they the folks. But it was like the kids was all rushing up, and all rushing up to the stage when they came out, and then no kid got hurt. You feel me? But it just, some kids was falling over each other. It just looked real bad for the brand. You feel me? But the principal understood, because she understood the impact of them at the time. Like, yo, these kids are considered famous to them, so we understand, like, it's hard to control them. But yeah, that was the only time I was like, that event right there had me like, palms were sweaty. Like, I'm like, oh man, I hope I ain't, you get sued and stuff. Like, that's just the mindset I was in. But people understood what we was doing, and that's why it's important to have that established, trust from the community, because they know you don't mean no harm, and people don't want to see harm done to you when you solid. So yeah, I would say that school event was probably that was worse than my community appreciation event that flopped. I say that by far.
So with the school tour, what would you say was your best school that you collaborated with?
Um, so all right, I'm gonna first say, as far as middle school, I say shout out to Bethune Elementary. Every time I do an event there, our assembly or something, it always go well, because we do well with the principal. High school, I would say Dobbins. I had a lot of fun doing like events at Dobbins.
I hear a lot of good stuff about Diamonds.
Yeah,
They get it lit.
they got a lot of
They lit
cool
over there.
vocational programs and stuff. Yeah, so I did an event there with the music teacher that I think went very well. But I say my biggest accomplishment is actually a partnership with the University of Penn, the Creators for Community Safety Institute. It took us like a year and some change to establish, but that's designed to bring creators into the public health and public safety space, basically using their mediums, their discipline to, affect getting messages out in regards to gun violence or social justice and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'll say that partnership with Penn is like what I'm really proud about, because that's something you don't see too often. An Ivy League university really partnering with somebody from community that don't have like a college degree or anything like that, and that's an innovative. It's not something that they funded before, and it took me some time to. And the way that I got the partnership was when I was working on a violence recovery program. I was basically like a social worker for somebody who like been shot, stabbed, or assaulted within the southwest of West Philadelphia area. So basically, it's like if somebody gets shot, come to the hospital. I then encounter them to like help them with resources and stuff like that, just to make sure after their injury, they successfully get back into society the way they need. So that could look like connecting them with jobs, helping them get the insurance, helping them find food banks, getting them in a mentorship program, stuff like that. And when I was working there, I was building a lot of relationships to rise the power of networking. And then they actually pitched the idea to me after I was just had a meeting with them, was just talking about like some creative ideas. and they was like, yo, we want to do a summit. So we did a creators summit in 2024. And then after the summit, we broke down the links between social media and violence, and how if we start making more positive content or art, we can use that as curriculums and ways to like offset the algorithms. There's so much negativity. So it was like panel discussions with doctors, creatives. Then I did my own presentation that we had, a poet there, talk about some of the stuff in his poems. And then they gave us the okay to do a research project, and the research project was interviewing creatives and seeing, how can as you was a part of the research project, how could we help a creative? What would a creative want from, the pen space? Like, whether that's training in AI, content creation, media, whatever. What is it? How could we partner? And then after we did the research project, we got the okay to establish the actual institute, and then we did the summit part 2 recently, December 6th. That went well. Big shout out to the Public Trust. That's where we did it at.
Okay.
And,
that was with POC, right? She was
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, how was
Shout out
that?
to
Tell
the
us more
Rob,
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. We had we had 2 powerful panels. We had some presentations on like stop the bleed training, and it was really cool. It was really cool. We had this artist named Kanini from New York come down and do like a presentation on like social injustice, and did it in a real cool, creative, quirky way, and yeah, and then we had pen folks in the building. We had some of our funders in the building, and now it's just like the next steps is creating a campaign. I'm getting a cohort of creators for the spring semester. Create a big campaign, touching on different social determinants of health. The school to prison pipeline, gun violence, food insecurity, etc. And then coming up with something cool production that they could push out into their networks and the universities and stuff, and then make it an opportunity for creatives to be trainers and teachers of violence prevention as well. So we'll help them build out their curriculums based off the content they work on with us, and they can help them land certain gigs within the U Penn space. And yeah, that's my greatest accomplishment, I feel like, because it's something that that's gonna keep growing, and I think I'm now realizing like it's a real thing more than just like, oh, there was just an event. Now it's actually an institute, and I don't know. I just feel like it shows you can do whatever you put your mind to, and I hope that inspire a young person.
What is your greatest advice for a child or somebody my age or our age that want to start something for the community and just think it's hard or feel like they don't have the right resources?
Really, my greatest advice. I don't want to be like that, but just start.
Mm.
You know, and have an open mind. Find mentors. Like anytime you try to, it takes a team. You gotta have people around. Like you gotta surround yourself in spaces, around people in spaces where they see what you don't see.
Mm.
They see the best. They see the best version of you, and they can say, "Yo, you should do this like that. Yo, you should do this like that." Because when you go in and you start an initiative or an idea, and when you try to be the top person and handle everything, it's like that's destined to crash. You feel me? Go in there with an idea of like go into your idea with the belief that you can accomplish whatever you think about. Like it's like thought first, then you apply with your action. Be open minded to building your network. Like if you're gonna start an org, like get in the habit of meeting people and talking to people. Like get the jitters out. Get the jitters out. Like I still get nervous to this day, and I done have been on all type of platforms. But just start. You feel me? Because your confidence grow as you continue to do what you're doing. Like so, if it's like, and when it comes to starting a nonprofit or initiative, no idea is too crazy. Like the world is constantly looking for different creative ways to help better their community. So I would say like, find a good team. That's another good advice. Maybe start with another team first before you branch off and do your own thing, so you can learn a part of the process. Like before I did my own tours too, like I was on other school tours just as the artist performing, like just as the artist performing, but during that time, I'm paying attention to like, okay, this how they network. Okay, we get into schools. I don't gotta go all the way down to the school district. I could just go directly to the schools, build the relationships with the principals and the deans. You feel me? Like, had that open mind of like you learning when you around people, not just I'm burning time and I'm just here. Okay, hey y'all, and that's it. No, like you really paying attention to detail. Don't be the smartest in the room. Always surround yourself with people that knows more than you. Like, because you want people that know more than you in your field to watch your back in your field. Meaning, like, like we on this set and you got a team. You feel me? Like, there's certain little points. It's like, all right, look, huh, make sure the car, make sure the brand showing little stuff. Those little details is this how you know you got good people around you. Why? Because if it's mediocre, they feel like it affects them too. You want those type of people around you. You feel me? Because although you the star, even though somebody in having a team where if it takes you being the forefront, having a good team of people around you that know how to really support you from behind the scenes. Because even when I watch I help like certain local elected officials, and I realize, especially when they do community engagement, that's where I learned a lot of those tactics that I can bring into my own thing. Just now, talking to people, the way they do outreach, the way they do email lists, all of that type stuff. Take online courses. That's more advice I would give. Take online courses. It's people out here who went to school and got their masters, they doctorates, and they're putting the information in little courses and they're selling to you for cheap. Like, don't feel bad for paying for an online course. Like, if you're going to spend that on 2 trips to the food store, you feel me, real quick, just go ahead and invest into your professional development. If you know you don't know something, please get out there. And then the last advice, and a big shout out to Philly Boat. Philly Boat is an organization in Philadelphia that takes community leaders and those who first want to start their initiative. And if you get picked to be in a cohort, they help you build out your project, your idea. Like, they help you establish your theory of change. They teach you how to connect with funders. They teach you how to do community organizing. They have a lot of great resources. So, and they probably know I was shouting them out. I didn't know I was going to shout them out either. But Philly Boat is a good place that y'all should start. And, you got a new idea, just tap into Philly Boat about how you can get a part of their cohort. I was a part of their cohort, and other good leaders from the city who has organizations as well, like the Ryan As I Planted Seeds, and No More Foundation also been through this cohort. And I would say that's a good place to start. If you don't know what you want to do, go over there and talk to them and try to get some information. And just shoot for the stars. Don't stop, no matter how tough it get.
Well, thank you for the great advice. Tell everybody where they can follow you at.
All right, you can follow me at Ant Brown ENT on everything, Ant Brown ENT, or the A-Bro Experience. You can follow us as well. And be on the lookout for all of the work we got coming this year. We got some events. Big shout out to the Philly Youth Music Fest. We also helping with that again this year. And just be on the lookout for all the productions we're gonna be doing. And the Creators for Community Safety is here, y'all. It's finally here. I'm excited about this.
You already know it's your girl Kenlo back at it again. And I'll see y'all next week.
Peace.